Today we will be learning standard cost method for inventory valuation. So first let us understand what is a standard cost. Okay, so standard cost is the cost which is calculated on the basis of some realistic market conditions and realistic systems. Okay, so this standard cost is reviewed regularly, and whenever necessary it is revised in the light of current conditions. Okay, so depending on various market situations, depending on the other factors which affect the cost, standard cost of product is derived. Okay, now let us see one example on how to calculate inventory on the basis of standard cost method. So this is an example. Messrs. Ahana Brothers give you following details of their purchases and sales. Okay, so lot number is given. Lot number is like invoice number or your voucher number, something like that. Then lot size is given. In that you have lot size of purchases and sales, that is units sold and units purchased. And then you have given purchase price per unit. So lot number for all the purchases begins from R. Okay, and for all the sales begins from I, if you see. Okay, so purchase, sales and purchase price per unit. Suppose Messrs. Ahana Brothers followed standard cost of 10.55 per unit for determining historical cost of inventories and also cost of goods sold. Show the inventory valuation on the basis of standard cost. Okay, so Ahana Brothers is following a standard cost of rupees 10.55 per unit. So this standard cost is derived by Ahana Brothers depending on the current market situations and other factors that is affecting the cost of goods. Okay, so how do we calculate a standard cost? See, first we calculate what is the actual purchase, total purchase cost of purchases. Okay, then we calculate what is a standard cost per unit is given. So what we'll do is total quantity purchased into standard cost per unit. So we will arrive at the standard cost of all the purchases. Okay, now once we find out the standard cost of purchases, what we'll do is we'll calculate the variance. Now variance is the difference between the standard cost and the actual price. If the actual price is less than the standard cost, we will value our inventory as per the standard cost. And if the actual price is more than the standard cost, we will value the inventory as per the actual cost. Okay, now let's begin. First what we'll do is we will calculate the actual cost of units purchased, actual price of units purchased. Units purchased. Okay, so what is the actual price? Units into price per unit and total price. Okay, so 2000 units into 10.25, then 500 units into 10.65, then 600 units into 11.10, 1000 units into 11.25. Okay, now let us calculate the total price of all this. Okay, so this comes to 2500, 5325, 6660 and 11250. So total price comes to 43,735. Now this is the actual price. Okay, now what do? Now we'll calculate all the standard price. Okay, standard cost. So total purchase of units, let's see what is the total purchase of units. Okay, so total units purchases 2000 plus 1000, that is 3000, 3500, okay, 4000 and 4100. So total units purchased is 4100. Okay, now we'll calculate the standard cost. For 4100 units, right? So it's equal to 4100. And what is the standard cost? Standard cost is 10.55. 10.55. Okay, so 4100 into 10.55. So that comes to 43,255. Okay, now if we see, our standard cost is less than the actual cost. Okay, so whatever is the actual cost, we have to adjust our closing stock and cost of sales to the actual cost, since actual cost is greater than the standard cost. So if the standard cost is greater than the actual cost, then we will value the product at a standard cost, or vice versa. Okay, so we will take the cost whichever is greater. Now we will find out the variance. Variance is actual cost is 43,735 minus standard cost. Okay, standard cost is 43,255. So the variance comes to 480. Correct? 480 rupees. Now this is for how many product? This is for 4,100 units. Okay, now this 4,100 units are total units purchased. Okay, now out of this, some of the units are sold and some of the units are part of closing stock. Okay, now let's calculate how many units are sold. Okay, units sold, you have 1000 plus 500 plus 1000, that is 2500. So 2500 units are sold out of 4100. So closing stock is how much? Closing stock is 4100 minus 2500, so that comes to 1600 units. So 1600 is a closing stock. Okay, now this variance of 480 is for 4100 units. Okay, this variance need to be proportionately bifurcated between units sold and closing stock. So units sold means what? It has to be bifurcated between cost of goods sold and cost of inventories. Okay, so we'll calculate now what is the value of inventory. Okay, so value of inventory. So standard cost. So standard cost is how much? Standard cost is 10.55 per unit into 1600 unit. So standard cost 1600 into 10.55. Now this comes to how much? This comes to 16,880. Okay, now since actual cost is greater than the standard cost, the variance between the actual cost and standard cost will allocate it equally or proportionately between the inventory cost of inventory and cost of goods sold. So add share of variance. Now how much is the variance? Variance is total variance is how much? 480 rupees. So variance is 480, correct? Now this 480 is for 4100 units. Okay, so 480 divided by 4100 into what are the units of inventory? 1600. So into 1600. Now that comes to 187. So total cost comes to 17067. So this is the value of inventory as per the standard cost. Okay, so that's all about standard cost method of valuation. Okay, now if you see practically, it's not very easy to calculate the standard cost. Okay, for calculating standard cost you have to take various market conditions and current factors into consideration. Since this was just an illustration, standard cost was directly given as 10.55 per unit, but in day-to-day world we won't be given a standard cost. Okay, we will have to calculate it as per our business and as per the market conditions. Okay, so that's all about standard cost. Thank you.